A shape grammar is a tool which uses the manipulation and calculation of shapes directed by a set of rules, such as scale, transition, and substitution. This is an example of a rule set in a shape grammar. If the line is substituted with two lines meeting at right angles, we have the first step of the grammar. If we apply this first rule to our starting shape, we have a form that would look like this. If we add a second rule to the shape grammar, such as this line being substituted by a triangle, we are able to create a development in the shape grammar such as this. After the second rule is applied, if we add the first rule again, our grammar is even further developed. We are able to just keep developing it until we have our desired shape. By using context-free art, I was able to significantly increase my understanding of shape grammars, and I began to develop grammars such as this, in which I used an online tutorial as a starting point. I was able to understand it further and develop the design. This is an example of how a shape grammar can have almost infinite possibilities. We are able to use shape grammars to help us with design ideas. For example, if we are given the assignment brief where you need to create a series of shopfront buildings which accommodate a range of businesses. The buildings need to be homogeneous, but also with enough differences to create diversity within the streetscape. This was my first idea to address the brief. I began with a simple set of buildings and decided that I wanted to create a sporadic motive which spread along each streetscape. The motive utilizes the basic shape of squares and replicates them over the entire street front. It varies their position and the amount they protrude out to create an aesthetic street design. I then created a concept tree, which allowed me to grasp which concepts I would need to translate into script and then into context-free art. Ideas such as size of the facades, the behavior of the motive, and the number of buildings were all going to be needed in my script. My team members helped me create a piece of script, which replicated my original pen and paper design. It also allowed for various random forms to be created, such as the amount of buildings, as well as the behavior of the square motive. I then further developed design by adding layers of patterns which randomly generated in the X and Y axis. These would generate randomly every time the render button was clicked. The shape grammar began to look like I intended, and by further adding the required objects such as windows and doors, as well as dividing the buildings up, I was able to reach a point where my shape grammar would be able to produce my original design concept. As you can see, shape grammars can be used to aid in design, as well as to generate various versions of designs. This is very beneficial when there is a need to explore further into a design, as well as exploring various layouts and concepts. I was able to use context-free art to generate a sporadic motive for a facade design, and it opened up countless design outcomes for the brief in which I was addressing. That about wraps up shape grammars. Thanks for watching.